Hello and welcome to Mechanified. In today's video, let's talk about the various type of disk available for your angle grinder machine. So as the name indicates, angle grinder, the basic job of an angle grinder is to grind something. In order to grind something, you need to have these kind of grinding disc. As you can see here, these two are the widely available grinding disc in the market. This is a 24 grit model and this one is a 36 grit model. The grit number is nothing but the size of abrasive particles used in this disc. Higher the grit number, better will be the surface finish. Lower the grit number, faster it can remove the material. So this 24 grit disc has a thickness of 6 mm and this 36 grit disc has a thickness of 4 mm. So these type of discs are generally used to clean off the welded joint, and you can buy them in 4-inch sizes, 4.5, 5-inch, 7-inch and 9-inch as well. This is a 5-inch grinding disc, as you can see. So these type of discs generally leave a rough surface finish. In order to smooth that, you need to use a disc which is generally called as a flap disc. So this is a flap disc. This is nothing but a set of stacked sandpapers glued together. Generally both these type of discs are priced almost similar, but the problem with this flap disc is that first of all it is somewhat expensive compared to this grinding disc in usage. One grinding disc will be almost equivalent to 10 of these flap discs, and that is because this flap disc will lose its abrasive strength very soon. And in India, these kind of flap discs are available for 4-inch grinders only. You can buy them in various grit numbers as well. You can buy them in 60, 80, 120 and 220. And always remember, higher the grit number, better will be the surface finish. This is a 220 grit flap disc and this is a 60 grit flap disc. You can visually compare these two discs and you can decide yourself which will give you a better surface finish. Obviously this one will give you a better surface finish than this one. The maximum number of grit number you can buy for a flap disc depends on your country. In India, we can buy a flap disc up to 220. And the next basic function of an angle grinder machine is to cut something, and in order to cut something you need to have these cutting discs. And there is no much difference between all these different colors of these cutting discs. All these cutting discs operate the similar way. And there is one point that you should be remembering, and that is the inox rating of this disc. Inox in the sense this disc is for purely stainless steel materials and it is free from iron, sulfur and chlorine. And not all discs are inox rated. As you can see, this is not inox rated. This is a general purpose disc and this is particularly for stainless steel. But in reality that does not make much sense. You can use any disc for any material. And generally speaking, a black colored disc is inox graded and a green one is not. As you can see here, this is a Hitachi disc and it is not inox graded, but it has clearly mentioned here this is for stainless materials. That means this is a inox disc even if it is not mentioned. And this type of abrasive cutting disc are available for your 4-inch machine, 4.5, 5-inch machine, 7-inch machine and a 9-inch machine as well. And remember one thing, these type of discs are very brittle. If locked up, they will just fly off and shatter. So it is a better idea to always use this safety guard for your angle grinder. And remember one thing, all these type of abrasive discs are not used on aluminium. And if you use this disc for aluminium, what will happen is the aluminium will get added to the surface of this disc and it will eventually clog up. You cannot use this disc furthermore. So in order to cut aluminium, you have to use a TCT wood cutter disc. And as you know already, this is a abrasive cutting disc. If you use this on your angle grinder, just after 1 or 2 cuts, this will get shorter and shorter and finally it will get to a size where you cannot use furthermore. So in order to avoid that problem, you can use these type of diamond cutter disc. This is a diamond cutter metal cutting disc. So these are the diamond edges, and so you can use this type of diamond cutting disc instead of this abrasive disc. But there is one limitation with this disc, that it will cut slowly compared to this disc. So this disc is almost 60% slower than this abrasive cutting disc. So it is all up to you whether to use it or not, and that doesn't mean that this disc is multi-purpose. You can generally use them on steel and not for aluminium. So if you use this disc for aluminium, again it will just get clogged up. And by the way, removing that aluminium clog is not a great deal. You can just run this disc on steel after you cut aluminium. It will just clear off that clogged aluminium. And one more advantage that I didn't mention is that this is a consumable disc and it will create a lot of dust on your workplace. This doesn't. The next type of disc is a flexible grinding disc. As the name indicates, flexible, in reality this is not flexible, this is a brittle disc. This is generally used to polish stones, but you can use this on metal as well. And you can use this disc to cut metal and grind metal. So generally this disc comes itself in a position between this cutting disc and this grinding disc. And as far as I know, these discs are available only for 4-inch grinders, and they also come in various grit numbers. I have seen 60 grit, 80 grit and 120 grit, and not more than that. And the next type of disc which we are going to talk about is a PVA disc, nothing but a polyvinyl alcohol abrasive wheel. This looks somewhat like this. This disc is generally used to polish stone, but you can use this on metal as well. A brand new disc looks somewhat like this. And if you want to polish steel up to its mirror finish, then you can use this disc instead of this flap disc, because in some countries higher grit flap discs are not at all available, and this is an alternative in order to achieve that mirror finish for steel. So this disc is available up to 1500 grit number. So like I said previously, this is particularly made for stone. Stone in the sense you can use it on tile, granite, marble, glass and any type of ceramic as well. So now let's talk about this wood cutting disc for an angle grinder. This is a TCT wood cutter. You can use this to cut wood as well as aluminium on your angle grinder. So the bore diameter inside is a 20 mm. So which is not the direct fit for your angle grinder. You have to use some kind of step down rings like this. So this is a step down ring from 20 mm to 16 mm. Just remember one thing, disc used on 4-inch angle grinders always have an internal diameter of 16 mm, and those discs which are used on angle grinders of above 4.5 inch models, they always have an internal diameter of 22.23 mm. And a wood cutting disc or a marble cutting disc or a tile cutting disc always have the bore diameter of 20 mm, because they are not particularly made for angle grinders, they are made for marble cutters. So marble cutters always have an internal diameter of 20 mm. So in order for you to fix this disc on your angle grinder, like I said already, you need to have this step down ring. So talking about these wood cutters, this is a 4-inch wood cutting disc with a bore diameter 20, and this is a 5-inch wood cutting disc with a bore diameter 20. You can also find this 5-inch cutting disc with the 22.23 mm. So generally speaking, there are two types of 5-inch wood cutting disc, one with the 22.23 mm bore diameter, the other with the 20 mm bore diameter. And if you buy these wood cutting disc above 6 inches, the bore diameter will always be 25.4 mm, nothing but 1 inch. And if you ever plan to use these type of sanding papers on your angle grinder, there are two types of wheel for this. One is the backing pad and the other one is a velcro pad. And these type of sandpapers which have a large hole in the center can be used on these type of backing pads. And this type of velcro sanding papers can be used on these velcro pads. This is a 5-inch backing pad, and in order for you to use this on your angle grinder, first you have to place this backing pad on your machine. Then you have to get this type of disc and you have to use it with a nut which is generally sized M10 for 4-inch angle grinders and M14 for 5-inch angle grinders. This is a 4-inch machine and hence I am using a M10 nut. So generally speaking, the type of sandpapers which are mounted on this type of velcro pads are nothing but those sandpapers which are used on orbital sanders. And in order for you to mount this, you can directly fix it on your angle grinder. But there is one problem with these type of velcro pads. If you ever plan to use this on wood polishing, then only this area will be utilized and the center area won't be utilized. And by the way, you can use this instead of your drum sander. And let me remind you, there are two types of backing pads. One is a plastic type, the other one is a rubber type. Rubber type backing pads are generally flexible. And now let's talk about the buffing disc available for your angle grinder. This is a cotton buffing wheel and this is a nylon buffing wheel. This cotton buffing wheel can be used on any material including aluminium, copper, brass, steel, stainless steel, etc. And since this does not have any abrasive particles within the disc, you have to use a proper polishing compound depending on your metal. And the other type of buffing wheel which you saw is a stainless steel buffing wheel. This already has minute amount of abrasive particles inside. You have to use this disc without any polishing compounds. And this nylon disc is nothing but the angle grinder version of this bench grinder buffing wheel. And this is the wire brush attachment for your angle grinder. You can use this to remove paint or to remove rust from your materials. This is a twisted wire cup and this is a brass wire cup. But in reality this is not made up of brass, it is made up of steel itself, but it is having that brass golden color. You can use this for any type of steel materials and you can use this for any type of smoother materials like aluminum, brass, etc. And if you ever use this steel wire brush on softer materials like aluminum, then it will definitely damage its surface finish. So finally, let's talk about some type of masonry disc which are available for your angle grinder. This is a marble cutter disc, nothing but a tile cutter disc. And this is a concrete cutter disc. So both these discs have the bore diameter of 20. Like I said already, you have to use a step down ring. And this is a tile polishing disc which you can use it on your angle grinder. The internal diameter is 16 mm. And generally this type of disc is used to polish most of the ceramic materials like tiles and glass. As you can see, there are numbers mentioned over here. This is a 0, this is 4 and this is 6. And if you refer the picture, 0 is for grinding, 4 is for polishing and 6 is for buffing. And this sums up the video. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comments below. And if you like this video, click on that like button. And thank you for watching this video. Have a great day. Bye.